What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Edison Club podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and tonight I'm joined by my teammates, Ty Payne, Austin Deckard, aka Enraged Peacock, and Cole Ayers. And tonight we have a very special segment, which is essentially everyone always seems to really enjoy the old man rambling episodes of this podcast. So tonight's topic is going to be I'm So Yu-Gi-Oh! I Remember Blank. So we can delve into basically anything from Yu-Gi-Oh's conception all the way up until nowadays and just kind of talk about anything that we remember in regards to the game. So each person has a few different things they're going to talk about, but who wants to go first?
Are we going to do like multiple in a row? Or are we going to do like go around the table and then do like another round kind
I
of
figure,
style?
yeah, we can like go around the table. That way everyone at least gets to share one. And then with whatever time we have left over, we can go around again.
Perfect. That's kind of what I thought would be the best way for it. So
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Austin, you want to go first?
Sure. Why not? Trial by fire. So, I've got quite a few that I really like, but I'm trying to think. The one that probably be a really good discussion point would be like the I'm So Yu-Gi-Oh! I remember when to get to qualify for nationals, it was an actual credential. You had to get top 4 at a regional.
Oh, wow.
I remember this.
And then invites passed down to top 8 if people in the top 4 had an invite. So if you have it may have been, I think it was the same for other big cities. Springfield's not very big. And then we'd go to Kansas City, St. Louis, Kansas, like different places around there. But yeah, top 4, only 4 people in the whole, if it's 200-man tournament, 4 people got invites. Unless those 4 people already had it, then it passed down to top 8. And very, very seldom did it pass down to like 10, 11, 12. But that was back in the 2007, 2008 days when I first started getting competitive. But yeah, so like on Pojo, you'd like list your credentials. Like qualifying for nationals was an actual credential instead of nowadays you got to go X3, I think.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. I don't know if I feel like I had to know that that's how it used to be from how many people I talk about historic Yu-Gi-Oh with, but that is really crazy to essentially just be playing to go to nationals. So it seems like it used to be more prestigious than it is now.
Yeah, I mean the old SJCs were only top 8, so
yeah,
they didn't do top 16 I think until maybe late 2006, early 2007. So it was a different game back then for sure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Back then it was definitely like and it's no knock to anybody like doing it big now, but back then it was just Yu-Gi-Oh was a lot harder than it is now. Like a way harder. Like I remember being like a young 12-year-old kid and wanting to be like a part of that that crowd, you talking about like the Emons, the Cesar Gonzalez,
Team Overdose, and
Team Overdose, that was the gold standard. There wasn't back then. There was nothing better than them at all.
Oh yeah. Then later on, apparently, a lot of the allegations started coming out about a handful of the players.
Yeah.
It's weird that you had a crush card and then that that sleeve was slightly smaller, so you could always feel where it was. Or I've heard also there's the famous one where you would lick the back of the player's choice and then on the clear part, and then you'd stick it to the crush card. So when you're shuffling it, they would more or less kind of stick together. So whenever you drew one within the next turn or two, you'd always have a crush card and Sangan together.
Yeah, I remember hearing stuff like that, and just a bunch of crazy shuffles that that some of them would practice as well. Only one, I think the only 2 from that team, that probably just are completely unscathed and don't really have any allegations against them was probably the Bolito brothers. I never heard anything bad about them. They were always,
Lazaro was one of, still to this day, in my opinion, one of the greatest people to ever touch the game. And then Jesse Cotton came along and made Lazaro look like a scrub. But for back in the day, Lazaro was that guy. And then Dale was very, very good as well. But Dale also had Conquerors hockey kind of style where he would just show up and not play with a mat. He would just,
Yeah.
on the table raw with his sleeves, and he'd just 2-0 you like nothing.
Dale was a different breed. He was definitely a different breed. He did not care. He'd show with no mat, nothing. He didn't care.
Shuffling an SJC crush card with no mat or anything is wild to me.
Yeah, no sleeves.
No, he had sleeves, but he
No,
just didn't need a mat.
Shuffle SJC crush card with no sleeves. That is crazy.
Rubber band around the deck.
I'd be sweating. I'd be sweating.
I'm sweating thinking about it. You know, like a grade 10 crush card virus SJC is like $250,000.
Jeez.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think it'll sell for that, but people get listed for that. But
yeah,
during peak COVID, I've seen some crazy things with just prices and stuff, and it makes me sick because I got super into GOAT format in like 2016, playing competitively, and then I sold it all in 2016, and like at one point I had 11 Metamorphosis, and I sold them for CP Metamorphosis, and I sold them for like $150 a piece, and I thought I was making out like a bandit. And then COVID came around, and they're $3,400 a pop. I'm like, I could have put a down payment for a house.
Wait, they're how much?
They at their peak during COVID, they were $3,400 a copy for a
that is insane
Metamorphosis.
Wow, wow, that is crazy. I didn't know that. Wow.
I remember.
The worst thing you could have ever done in your life is sell a sell a Yu-Gi-Oh card prior to 2020.
Wow, I remember when Yu-Gi-Oh was affordable.
I know.
I don't either.
Okay,
I was working part-time at Brahms. I was 15 years old with a worker's permit to try to build stuff out of the case, and then like just random little I can only work 4 hours a night, and I couldn't work more than 20 hours a week because I was only 15. I'm like, if I work for 3 months, I can get this Judgment Dragon. I'm like, but then by then Tell Daddy came out. I'm like, oh well.
Yeah.
So I was
into that.
I played like Light Sword with like one JD, one Honest, like.
One thing about Yu-Gi-Oh prices is I've never seen the ultra rare Caius from the structure deck. I swear it's been $10 since it came out. It's still $10. I think it's like the Arizona T of Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
I completely agree.
Cole's right. It's never dropped past that. Like I remember when that structure deck dropped, and that needle's never moved.
Nope,
it's crazy.
For like over a decade.
You know that I am still playing with my original one as well.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so the only Ultra Caius that I have, actually, scratch that, the only Caius I have, when I started playing Twilight, I was like, I need a Caius. And I was like, I can't play a super in my high rarity Twilight deck. And I go through my shoebox and I find it. And it is an unlimited Ultra Caius from the structure deck that is creased on one side that I had back in actual Edison format that I creased trying to sleeve it in those really shitty deck prot sleeves. If you guys remember deck prot, then it's time to schedule a colonoscopy. But dude, they were like, for deck prots, you would pay like $10 for a pack of sleeves. Mind you, this is like 2009. That's a lot of money for sleeves. And then those shits are like all different sizes. And like the first time you shuffle them, they were already ruined. That was the end of them. And sometimes you would buy a pack of 60 and only get like 53. I don't know what they were doing. Those guys were definitely money laundering.
Dude, like you think about it, like back then, like I was getting like pack of sleeves for like $10, like not like these, like even like for like cards like Caius, being broke kids with like these little like starter jobs, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of piggyback off that, do you guys remember do you guys have Kmart? I don't know if you guys had Kmart.
Yeah,
I don't know. We did. I know if it was a nationwide thing like Walmart. So Kmart had some banger deals, and they had some crazy third-party products that I really liked. There was this one that I liked. I wish I had it still because the sleeves were actually good. They were black sleeves, and it had the Yu-Gi-Oh font and it was like silver, and then it came with a black deck box with that same kind of font, and then it came with like 2 packs, and it was like in this like octagon shaped little
I know
thing.
exactly
And
what
it
you're
was, like,
talking about.
and it was like $20, but you got like a handful of packs, and then you got the deck box and the sleeves, and like the MSRP for it was like perfect for what it was. Because I think it may have only been 15, thinking back to like way back then, because packs back then were only like $3.99 still. But it was I remember going to Kmart, and someone at my local had that deck box, and they pulled it out, and I was playing against them. Like, oh man, like you just unlocked a whole for like hidden memory I completely did not remember until I saw it. And I was like, yeah, I little octagon thing. Yeah.
We have this store called McKay's, and it's basically like a used media store. They have like books, magazines, DVDs, whatever. They have all kinds of stuff like that. It's basically a pawn shop for stuff like that. Well, like a year ago, I went to theirs, and they have Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I found a stack of those sleeves. Actually, what you're talking about, they're the silver ones, and they're in really bad shape, but I still have them. I bought them. You could fill a whole bag of cards for like $10, and I got those sleeves. Thought that was really cool from back in the day.
Remember those? You all have those dragon eye sleeves? Like, there's a big old dragon's eye. They're like blue or green, or the 2 options, I think.
Yep, I remember those.
I remember that. I remember
Go ahead.
I remember that like there was also this one pack of sleeves, and it had like what looked like a cyber dragon on the back of the sleeves art. It was like a really unhinged looking cyber dragon. Like I
remember that.
I think those like that pack of sleeves was like $10 or $12, I think.
Yeah, those, and then there were ones. I remember I had some that had like a vampire on the back of them.
Yep, I remember those.
Yeah, it was early or like mid 2000s. Was like a odd time for Yu-Gi-Oh product. Everything was very weird.
The GXers sucked, yeah.
Yeah.
for product, at least.
Yeah, it was very, very strange. Very strange. Okay, so getting back on track here. Who wants to go next?
Sure, I'll take the crack at it.
Cole's taking the wheel. He's driving this thing straight off a cliff, baby.
Mine's a little less competitive. Mind you, I did not have internet until I was like a sophomore in high school. So my experience with the game is purely through other people and just in the local area. So me and my other friend from the team, Austin Wood, we would hang out and play cards all the time with him and his brother Wesley. And all I can remember is like the childhood memories of like not having a meta deck. And Wesley would have just this spellcaster deck, and he would have Secret Village and Royal Decree. And me and Austin
I remember that deck, actually. He still had that when they start coming to the flea market. I remember that.
I don't know what to do.
He learned how to be toxic without the internet. That's incredible.
That's true. That's a tall order,
I would have the most awful deck, too. I'd play like a Garlandoff deck with like 3 Lightning Vortex with no discard outlets that are good. I just didn't know what I was doing.
You're discarding real cards. You're discarding Mirror Force.
Yeah, it was so bad.
I don't need this Mirror Force.
Well, no, not face up.
It was so fun to think about those kind of things when you're like a kid growing up playing the game.
That's such a fun memory.
I'd spend, so for the longest time, I didn't have like, I had tins, but all my commons and stuff, I literally took the bottom drawer of my dresser. Like, it was one of the dressers where you have like the big one, then the small one in the middle, and then another big one for like, pants and things like that. Well, I took that bottom drawer, and it was just all Yu-Gi-Oh cards and just old commons, rares, just things I didn't deem things. But I mean, once a day, I just get it there, I just grab a stack, fold them all up, or kind of do that little shuffle thing where you make them all go the same way. Then you go through and just look at them. I'm like, how can I remember looking through it, and I was around Tactical Evolution, and I was like, I think there's something to these Chrysalis monsters, because I was like 13, 14 at that time. I was like, I think I could do something with this.
You're like, well, Jaden used them, so they must be good.
Yeah, well, I was like, just similar to what Cole said. Like, I didn't have internet in my house like until after I graduated and then moved out, and we never had internet like in that house while I was there. So we would walk to the public library, and the public library was actually like one shopping center over from the local card store that we'd play at. So every once in a while we'd go look at like metagame online stuff, but we'd look at those and look at their deck lists. I'm like, I get $10 a week for an allowance. I'm like, I can't afford any of these cards, so I'm gonna buy some packs and see if I can pull something, and then you just build you build your deck based off just what cards you have, like.
Yeah.
And I love doing. I would spend hours just going through all the cards, just thinking of different things I could possibly do, and that was always horrible. It was always bad. It was never a good thing that I came up with, but it was just so fun. It's something to do.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you really had to replace cards with like bad cards, because when you're like, I guess it still like applies to that today, but I feel like it was maybe a different degree back then when you were a kid and you just didn't have money to fork out for cards like that.
Yeah, you're like, I don't have Smashing Ground. I'll just play Fissure.
I remember when. Go ahead, Austin.
Also, all I was gonna say was to piggyback off that. One of the topics I was thinking about was, I'm so Yu-Gi-Oh was Konami didn't build my deck for me because they had Gravekeepers like the only archetype. So everything was just high utility, good stuff that you had. Just whatever you like, building around, and it was kind of fun, and that's something I do kind of miss. Like, even though the cards were like objectively broken, because the more generic they are, like the more broken they were, and the less words they had, usually the better they were. So,
yeah, it's very true. Okay, Cole, anything else you want to elaborate on that one, or does that pretty much sum up yours?
Yeah, I'll pass that torch on to Ty.
Okay, all right, Ty, lay it on us.
All right. Oh man, I gotta be careful with this memory because it's pretty old.
Tell us how old you are, but only use Yu-Gi-Oh terms.
It's an antique, baby. So everybody get strapped in. I'm so Yu-Gi-Oh. I remember. I don't even know if any of y'all will know what this is. I remember playing on YVD.
Mm-hmm. YVD. I feel like I know what that is, but I don't know what that is.
Okay, so here we go. YVD was.
Can I guess the acronym? Because I don't remember exactly what it stands for, but I want to say it stood for Yu-Gi-Oh! Virtual Desktop, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what it?
I didn't have it, but I knew about it.
I tried it, and I was so frustrated with it. I probably tried it for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I was just like, okay, I can't deal with this. It's just so bad. So pretty much what it was, like, just like break it down, was it was Dueling Book back in like 06, 07, 08 era.
Oh God.
Yeah. Pre-YGO Pro, pre-Dueling, before Dueling Book, there was Dueling Network. It was pre-Dueling Network even. Like, it was the OG.
Yeah. It was bad. Like the images never loaded ever. You never saw the card. Like sometimes the text would be on for the card for the effect would be so potato you couldn't make it out. So dude, it was so frustrating and so bad. I remember there was one time me and Joey we tried to get that to work for at least a week. And like we were so hell bent on trying to get it to work, and it wasn't it. It just wasn't it. I was like, dude, enough of this. I'll just see you at my house, because like at the time my house and Combs' house was our locals for a while.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to play a Yu-Gi-Oh simulator with a DOS-based like point of sale. It's almost equivalent.
Imagine trying to play Dueling Network. Pretty much, I'll break it down to you like this. Imagine trying to play Dueling Network with dial-up.
Oh God! It's like waiting for a response. 10 minutes later, thumbs up.
that phone.
I thought you were about to say, imagine trying to play Dueling Book on a calculator.
That's basically what it was. It's like trying to play Dueling Network on a flip phone.
Not the flip phone.
Shout out when Dueling Network had TCG player prices on the cards.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yep. Yeah,
I remember that.
That's old school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ty, anything else you want to add about your topic there?
it was a headache, and I'm glad I'm glad that we have evolved as a society where we don't have to use such primitive technology anymore.
Nostalgia is a powerful tool, but technology is better.
That's true. Okay, so I actually have a whole list of these, and I've been going back and forth over which one. And I think my first one's going to be I'm So Yu-Gi-Oh! I remember when Honest finally got reprinted out of was it called the Twilight? What was it called? Mm-hmm. Twilight Special Edition. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it got printed as an ultra rare, and then it like went to 1 like 2 weeks later or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just remember I always sorry. Almost lost my voice there. I always wanted to play Lightsworn. I've told this story a few times, and the deck was so expensive that I was playing. I don't even think I had Raikou, dude. That was like how bad the struggle was. It was like Jane's, Graganith, Rinion, no charge. And when Honest finally got reprinted, it was such a big help.
Well, if you remember, there was a time period back then. Raikou actually did get expensive for a while. Raikous were like at one time were like $18, $20 back in the day.
Yeah, I remember that. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure. When was Raikou's first reprint? Was it the Gold Series?
Yeah,
I think so.
It was a Gold Series because I remember because I built Lightsworn. And it was like pretty much just like all the expensive stuff was like the gold was gold rare.
Yeah, it'd be like that. Yeah, and then Judgment Dragon gets reprinted as gold, so you finally get everything. But yeah, I remember buying the Honest Twilight thing, and that was such a good memory for me, especially looking back on it now.
Yeah, I've always loved Honest as a card too, because I started wanting to play Lightsworn because I was like, there's no way I can afford Teledad. Dark Arm was $300, $350 a piece. I had to play Crush Card. You had all those cards were so unobtainable, and like Lightsworn was expensive, but it wasn't as expensive. Like I could get like Soul Recharge for $20 instead of $60 for the D-Draw. So in my mind, I tried to go for it. But I also played a lot of like Little City, like the skill, like what we'd call like the skill drain hero beat now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Thunder King Ryo just first came out, the Aliases and Honest and Light Monsters. I played that for quite a bit, and Honest was a big factor in that, and I really liked it. And being able to skill drain someone, and they try to run into it, and then you can just Honest them. You're like, your Stardust can't do nothing here.
Yeah, that's good. It's really good. Okay, well, mine was pretty short and sweet, so we can just go all the way back around the table. And Enraged, if you have another one, go right ahead.
Perfect. I actually kind of have two that will go together and piggyback what we're already kind of talking about. So,
okay, great.
The two that I'll put together is like the I'm So Yu-Gi-Oh! That I hear TCG player. I'm like, I'm not sure what that is. We got our price from Beckett magazines. And
Beckett magazine,
when you pulled
bro.
A super rare, it was a big deal. If you pulled any foil, it was a big deal. There wasn't a super every single pack. Like it was very hard to get a super to what we've been talking about. To pull any of these cards for these decks, it just wasn't feasible to pull them from anything. And then you'd get the little magazine I remember the first Beckett magazine I ever got. It was whenever Labyrinth and Nightmare was just getting ready to come out, and it had United We Stand and Kaiku were the two standout cards like on the thing, and I think it was shortly after 9/11 because the whole United We Stand thing I think had to play with that whole like kind of thing they're trying to do in the magazine. So it was a really cool thing. I remember going through and looking at these prices and like trying to figure out what my cards are worth, and then I wish I still had them. Like, man, I would just love to go back through and just look at not only how crazy the prices are, but just like I look forward so much to get those magazines in the mail,
Luckily for us, I have one on my desk right now.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
You want me to, hold on. Let me grab this. Let me look up a card price in here. Hold on. Give me like 30 seconds. Hold on. Okay. This is Beckett Yu-Gi-Oh! Elemental Hero Dark Neos. This is when that card came out.
Power of the Dust?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let me go to the price guide in the back. And all right.
Oh, man.
A secret rare Pharaoh's Servant first edition Jinzo. How much do you think that was in whatever this came out, like 2006 or something?
$65.
All right. Ty, Cole.
With it being Beckett, I'm going to say because Beckett was notorious juicing people on prices.
Besides the tournament pack cards, everything was kind of wild. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say $100.
Okay. All right. Cole.
I'm gonna say about 70.
Okay. So if this was The Price is Right and Rage would have gotten it, they have it. Actually, I guess he wouldn't have because you can't go over on The Price is Right. It was $40 in this magazine.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Oh wow.
I remember the most expensive thing I saw back in the day. That wasn't a tournament pack card. Like the tournament pack cards, they always have those listed really high just because they are what they are. But I remember whenever the Chaos Emperor Dragon came out, it was like, I was like, oh my gosh. I remember I pulled one like from a pack, and one of my good friends, Billy, he's actually in one of the Discords we're in. He's a Wig Splitter. If you guys have ever talked to him, he's been one of my best friends since I was like 8 years old. Well, he was the Ice Cream Man. He's like 3 years older than me, or what, 7 years, 5, 6. He's older than me. He was old enough to drive. We'll put it that way. And he would drive around, and I would trade him Yu-Gi-Oh cards for like ice cream and soda and stuff. I remember I pulled the Chaos Emperor, and he was like, "Oh, trade it to me." I'm like, "No way!" I'm like, "I'm never trading. This is the best card I've ever seen in my whole life." I remember looking up in Beckett, and I think it was $100 in Beckett, and I had never seen a regular pack card reach like $100. To my knowledge, but being 9, 10, years old, I don't remember exactly what it was, but that's kind of where my memory's leading me.
Here is one more trivia question for you guys. Do you guys know the card, and I might be mispronouncing this, Help Palmer, the level 5 Dark Fiend guy?
Yeah.
Helperwimmer, yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows what that is, right? So ultra rare.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was America's deck in the show.
Yeah, Pharaonic Guardian. Yep. All right, this will be the last one. How much do you guys think that card cost in Beckett magazine?
I want to say $20.
All right,
I would say 17. Just been a real weird, because it seems like they do like obscure numbers, so I was gonna say 17.
All right, what'd you say, Cole?
15.
All right, so if this was The Price is Right, Ty would win. It was $22.
Oh,
that's it.
That's wild.
That card ain't never been good, bro.
It's never been good.
But to piggyback off of like what I was saying with what my I'm So Yu-Gi-Oh was, it was an ultra rare out of a core set. It was a big deal to pull it.
Yeah, even if it wasn't good, like just the fact that you pulled one, like that was good enough.
Yeah.
In my little kid brain too, if it was because it was so hard to pull a foil. If I pull a foil in my mind, I'm like, this card is good, Because I remember out of, I want to say it's Force of the Breaker. It's a secret rare. It's like Diablos Dragon something. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't remember anything about what he does. Yeah, but I remember he was a secret rare and he was a dragon and he had high attack. I'm like, I'm going to build a deck around this. And I don't think I ever did because it was really, really bad. But in my mind, it being a secret rare, I'm like, oh, this has got to be like insanely powerful.
I remember that card got a retrain for a structure deck like later on. It was like all based around like using like the virus cards as like their big win con, and like once you like tributed something that's cost, if that dude was in your graveyard or in your hand, you could special summon him back to the field.
That's very possible because I have no clue. You know what's to piggyback what Mike was saying about the Help Homer. It's really funny because I just pulled up TCG Player today for a near mint first edition copy. It's exactly $17.
Oh wow,
that's hilarious.
That's crazy.
That is so funny. That is so funny. I'm like, I wonder how well it's aged. I'm like, it's only depreciated $5 in 3 years. 22 years. I think it was 30 when it came out.
Every time I go somewhere, antique shops, thrift shops, wherever, I always look to see if they have any of those. My cousin had one from back in the day, but I probably had 10 or 15 of those things. I wish I'd kept them.
I know I have some in storage. I know I have at least about 4 or 5.
Yeah,
I have to go like dig them out and show them to you.
Yeah, I love those things. I love old Yu-Gi-Oh like media like that.
Same.
Enraged, did you have another one, or was that all for yours?
Well, since we were talking about old Yu-Gi-Oh media, do you guys remember the Duel Masters Guide, the DVD that taught you how to play the game? That was really cringy.
Yep, I remember that.
The CD you got at McDonald's, the music to duel by.
Oh yeah, I blasted that on my PS1 back in the day.
I still listen to it.
PlayStation 1.
The song that Yugi and Joey play to in the anime is called "No Matter What," and it's actually a pretty good song.
It is a good song.
No Matter What, music to duel by. It's on YouTube. Look it up. It is a banger.
I'm pretty sure I had like a Power Ranger toy as a microphone singing to that in my bedroom.
I'm still just stuck on the fact that Cole was listening to that on his PlayStation 1. Bro, we are so old.
PlayStation aside, that was a big deal.
I'm about to like laugh too hard and like pull my back out or something. That is so funny. Okay.
I'm old.
All right. I'm sorry. Cole, you go ahead with your next one.
Oh. So Yu-Gi-Oh! I remember back during Dragon Roller format, one of the most
oh God.
That's when I kind of got introduced in a GOAT format because that format was so polarizing with it being like a tier 0.5 format.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember like that was the first time for me exploring like Time Wizard formats, not really thinking about it in that form. And I remember back then never thinking that would ever be like supported, even like locally, but even to the degree to Konami. So it's actually, I think we may take it a little bit for granted how much we have with like Ultimate Time Wizards and stuff. How cool it is.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it.
Yeah,
Even just in the past couple of years. I never would have thought that we would have had a main event like national style thing, like the online RBTs was like peak, or like the GOAT format online world championships that JDC would throw. I'm like, that was like, to me, like unbelievable that it came that far. And then here we are a couple years later where we have actual sanctioned Konami like competitive retro events. It's awesome. And I couldn't be more thankful because it pulled me back into the game so hard because I was just a casual, just kind of watcher, didn't really have much to do about it. I didn't have any physical cards even. Like I sold most of my stuff besides just random stuff that wasn't worth anything. And it just reignited that spark that, and probably like for most of us, like, there's that one moment where you're like, okay, I'm hooked on this. And the GOAT format starting it and just coming into all that just really just reignited that spark for me personally. So
yeah. Shout out to Dragon Roller format for being so crazy that it made me play GOAT format.
Exactly.
That is crazy. All right, Ty, go ahead and hit us with your next one.
Oh man. So it's between two. I'm trying to think which one I want to go with. Like,
okay, all right.
This one's very unhinged. I talked about this a little bit in our group chat, but I'm so Yu-Gi-Oh! I still remember my first Pojo account.
Oh no!
Was it awful? You talking about the cringiest name and coming from like the cringiest kid at the time. Like I had my first Pojo account. I had it under the name Perfect Gym Duelist. Because I like this is coming from a kid who was very high on the Crystal Beast deck. Specifically
Amazing.
Abundance OTK. Brandon Combs and Michael Gammons is my witness. They can tell you that I didn't think that there was a better deck out there at all. You couldn't tell me about no other deck. Dark Armor Turn, I don't care. I got Crystal Beast OTK. I don't care. I'm about to wipe your field. You better buckle in there, son.
Yeah, 17 turns later, it's coming, buddy.
Yeah. talk to me in 17 turns. It's going down.
That's so funny, dude.
I thought I was hot shit back in the day with Crystal Beast, dude. And like I was locally I was like okay, but like on like the regional level, I was like dog water.
Let me tell you this story. I've never told this story to anyone before, actually, on the podcast or in person. And you talking about Pojo, every time someone brings up Pojo, I want to tell this story. So when we were kids playing at the flea market, we had a very limited supply of cards, and TCG Player wasn't really a thing. If it was a thing, I didn't have a credit card to like go on there and buy stuff. So sometimes I could get my parents to buy me cards on eBay, but not very often. And every time I would mention, oh, do you have this card? They'd be like, oh, no, we don't have it. But Tinga probably has it. Okay. And all of us but Enraged know who Tinga is. But Tinga was like a player and like a vendor back in the day. That's just surface level, right? And that kept going. That kept happening.
Like the guy that like had all the cards and would always like juice for him. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. But no one would ever like message him or call him or whatever for me, right? So eventually I get really tired of that. And this is so crazy. I'm just like, okay, well, he has to exist on the internet somewhere. You can see where this is going.
You've only heard about it in folklore.
You can see where this is going, okay? So I start small. I start on MySpace. I start on while I'm searching for him on MySpace. Cole is in the background with his PlayStation 1, listening to the music,
listening to my McDonald's track.
My shoebox, my dresser full of commons.
I don't know if you guys have ever tried to look him up before. There are a lot of Michael Tingas in the world. So I have no information of what this man. I don't know anything about him. I don't know if he's my age. Don't know if he's 70. Don't know if he's white, black. I know nothing about this man at all. Okay. So finally, I start looking on Pojo. This is so funny. I find this old article where people reviewed him or interviewed him for he was playing like a Sasuke samurai whichever one, when it inflicts damage, your opponent draws till he has like 7 or something.
Number 3.
Yeah, he was playing a deck like that, and I'm like, okay, now I have some information. Now I know who this is. So I'm like scouring, I'm like reading through thousands of comments on this thing. And I finally find an account, and I don't remember what it was. I'm just going to make something up. But it was something along the lines of like Mike T or Michael T. And I was like, that's my guy. Had no idea if that was actually him or not. So then I start looking at everything that account has posted on Pojo, and I find a phone number on there. And it's a 336 area code, which is like our area code. And I text that number, and I'm like, is this Tinga? That's just what I ask. And after like 2 days, he responds. He was like, yes. And I was like, asking him, did he have these cards? And he was finally like, who is this? And I told him, and then he never responded anymore. And I was like, man, I basically did like some CIA shit for nothing.
We were created by the FBI. What the hell?
And at the end of the day, I still didn't get the cards I wanted, and I was sad. But I've never really told that story.
Like when I tell you that this man, he would like at regionals, like we would never hear from him or anything to find, like to know if he was going. Like if you called him, he wouldn't answer, but he would just like appear out from behind like a pit, like a support beam pillar.
Bro, let me tell you.
Room.
Yes.
He's like,
let me tell you.
You want to buy some cards?
Yes. Let me tell you. 2014 Nationals, and I'll make this quick because we're really going off track here. 2014 Nationals, okay, is in Detroit. So our group is leaving, okay? We leave from Mount Airy. We're in Columbus, Ohio, and Tinga calls Brandon Combs and wants to know, can he ride with us? And we're like, bro, we're in Columbus, Ohio, okay? So no, obviously. We get to the venue, and Tinga is there already. We had like a 6-hour lead on him, and he gets there before us, and we still don't know how in the world he got there. Still, it's like
Michael Myers of Yu-Gi-Oh!
One of life's great mysteries. We have no clue how he got there.
That reminds me of that episode of SpongeBob where Sandy and SpongeBob are racing, and he was just like, SpongeBob was already there before Sandy got there, just like a land creature.
Oh God, yes, that's what it was like. And he was like, just like Ty said, he was like coming out of the shadows and like the alleyways, like the guy with the trench coat and like the pocket watches. It's like, do you need any Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
It's like when have y'all ever played like Resident Evil?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that one merchant on there. What are you buying? What are you selling?
What are you selling? yeah, that's true. That's exactly how it was.
I was kind of thinking like the Skyrim thing is like Khajiit has wares if you have coin.
Yeah. Khajiit has wares if you have coin. All right. Ty, anything else you want to add to your Pojo adventure?
The last I'm So Yu-Gi-Oh story I have is like I remember I'm So Yu-Gi-Oh. I remember when Future Fusion came out and it was at 3, and then that just lasted a week and it just went to 1 because Chimera Tech Over Dragon was a thing and a real one. Like
I heard about it. That was shortly before I started playing competitively, but I definitely heard about the horror stories around the local shop when I started going.
So very quickly, because I don't know anything, can you summarize, like, obviously Future Fusion's broken, but like, was it like Genzo and Returner, or was it like Overload Fusion?
No. Oh, it was before that. Like,
it was like UFO Turtle. The Cyber Phoenix was broken.
Yeah, UFO Turtle, Cyber Phoenix, Cyber Dragon, Decoichi, like
all the playable machine monsters. Yeah. If it was a playable machine monster, you just go Future Fusion, send my whole deck, overload for a gigantic Chimera Tech, and then attack you as many times as I can for like 15,000 damage.
Yeah, because like this was the thing. This was what made it so bad back then, y'all. Is like, you know how Chimera Tech Over Dragon now, you can only attack monsters, right?
Yeah.
Back then, no. This thing could attack you directly.
Oh,
it didn't have to attack a monster. It could just if it's got like 98,000 attack and can attack 38 times, you're taking all 38 attacks.
Jeez, dude, that's enough damage for you to lose like the next 10 times you come to locals.
Yeah, it's like
that's enough damage to lose a whole regional.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a crazy one.
I remember going to a regional, and I remember because Combs and Gammons, I remember we're talking about this deck one night we were all hanging out like when we were younger, and I was like, this deck can't be that good. And then I run into it at a regional, like, okay, never mind, this is actually pretty good.
Just immediate change, like, okay, guys, you were right, I was wrong. Crystal Beast ain't it.
God, it was wild, dude.
That is wild.
It was a wild time.
All right, so I guess I will finish us off here with everything, but I am so Yu-Gi-Oh! I remember the best day for pulling cards I ever had in my life. And so this is 2016, I believe. Yes, 2016 Pendulum format. So this is Tier 0 Performa Pal Pendulum. And I remember seeing Performa Pal Pendulum Sorcerer in the OCG. And I was like, that card is so cool. And to this day, that's one of my favorite cards. I have 3 secret copies even still. And I was like, I want to play that deck so bad, but they were $100 a piece. And you really needed 2, but you really needed 3. So there was no shot of me building this deck. Well, the owner of our old card shop, his wife needed a ride to work one day. He couldn't take her for some reason. So I offered to take her. I take her to work. She worked at Walmart like 45 minutes to an hour away. Well, instead of giving me gas money, she bought me 5 packs of Breakers of Shadow, which was the newest hot commodity set at the time. And I go out in my car and I run out there and I open them. And the first one, I just get like some rare. I don't even know if you were getting a foil in every pack at that time, but you know,
I think I've Supers, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, because that's when Twin Twister came out. Yep. I get a bad card, it's nothing good. So I've never been one to open up sealed product, have terrible luck with it. So right there, I was like, oh, this is a bust. So I pick up the second one, I flip through it, and there's a Pendulum Sorcerer in there. And I'm I'm losing my mind in the parking lot. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have 1. Can I play the deck with 1? I'm like, probably not. But I was like, I can use this to get more stuff for my tier 15 deck that I'm playing. Whatever deck it was at the time. All right, I go on to the third pack. Pendulum Sorcerer. I've pulled 2 Pendulum Sorcerers out of 5 packs. So at this point, I am losing my mind. I have 2 Pendulum Sorcerers.
Like blister packs or like just loose packs? Like
blister packs. Yep.
Okay, that makes sense because blisters, they don't have ratios. It's literally just there's
it's awesome. Just potluck. So at that point, I did not care what I pulled. So I go on to the 4th pack, and it's Cosmo Dark Eclipser, which was like $20, I think. So
that's no secret, though, right?
It was a secret rare. Yes, it was a secret rare.
Insane.
Okay, we get to the last pack, Cyber Dragon Infinity.
Oh my gosh.
I pulled 4 secrets out of 5 packs, and ever since then, my luck with sealed product has been terrible. I literally used up my life's worth of that for that. But I played that deck for a long time. Was I good with it? No. Was it fun? No. Because I couldn't beat anybody for some reason. But yeah, I ended up getting a third sorcerer, and swapping them for Germans at that year's Nationals, and I still have those. So always really happy whenever I flip through and see those.
Foreign cards used to be worth more than English cards than COVID.
Yeah,
that's not a thing anymore.
That didn't age well.
I had a friend on Pojo that lived in Germany, and we would just do straight up swaps because English cards were worth more, and the portion of Germany he lived in, like they spoke mostly German, like not as much English. So English cards fetched a higher price, and we would just do straight up swaps of like super rare Book of Moons and like Gravekeeper Spies, and it was one of the coolest things that ever happened with me on Pojo. Was I actually also got a whole bunch of you'd have like the refs underneath your name with a little link of like how many successful trades you'd had or whatever.
Yeah,
and me and him would just straight do swaps where I had like 200 refs, so people always had to send first to me, and I was like, I'm a big deal now,
Yeah. That's so crazy. Yeah, how far we've come from those days, honestly.
Real quick, and Rage just unlocked a memory for me, just mentioning like trading on Pojo. So, and then, like, I'll make this really quick. I'm so Yu-Gi-Oh! I remember trading Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards on YouTube.
I remember that as well.
The Trade Binder monthly updates.
Yes, dude. I remember there was this one time. Do you remember when when Bryonac was the national mat?
Yep.
I wanted that mat so bad because it looks like to me
it's to this day one of the most gorgeous mats. It is beautiful.
I just loved everything about that mat. The colors, everything about it was just amazing to me. I was like, I probably ranted at our flea market here for like days. I was like, I have to have this mat. I have to have it. And then like one guy that was had messaged me on one of my binder videos. He's like, hey, I have this mat, and he juices me for like a good chunk of my collection. Boyd will tell you, I had some Cole, I think you might remember too. I had a pretty nice collection back when we were at the flea market.
Yeah.
And he I got so heavily juiced for this. I never got the map.
Yeah, oof. I remember that. That was so sad, honestly.
I was so sick.
Yeah, rightfully so.
And then I had to hustle to get all that stuff back again. But yeah, I remember that was a memory unlocked.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
On more, right? On House of Champs, the YouTube guy?
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So his Pojo is still to this day my favorite Pojo name I've ever seen. It's My Buddy as a Shield.
Oh, I didn't know that. I remember that name. I didn't know that was him.
That was John Moore. Yeah, I traded with him quite a bit back in the day because he was one of the people who broke 1,000, and not a lot of people had 1,000 verified reps. And he was always even wheeling dealing way back then. But yeah, My Buddy as a Shield. And he had Jinzo as his little avatar. Yep, and I always remember that. That is to this day my favorite Pojo name that I ever came across was My Buddy as a Shield. Because I've always been a big fan of My Body too. So I'm like, that's just brilliant.
That's great.
Yeah, that's a great username. I'm gonna have to use that for a dueling book account or something. Okay,
I think his dueling book is My Buddy is a Shield.
Really?
Him and Simo were doing the little thing they did. I'm almost positive it had My Buddy is a Shield on it.
Very cool. It's
Mine
a great
was
name.
Glad Beast 65803. Just Glad Beast and my area code and an avatar of a Raichu on it.
Okay, well, I really enjoyed that, and I think that everyone else will as well. You know, we're all old now, so sometimes it is fun to just go around the table and just share our favorite Yu-Gi-Oh memories. So if you guys have a special Yu-Gi-Oh memory, send it over to us. We do accept fan mail. You can email us at the EdisonClubFanMail@gmail.com. Any questions or anything, podcast suggestions you would like to give, we will look forward to getting those from you guys. So any closing remarks from anyone?
Leave a comment of why you're so Yu-Gi-Oh too.
Yes, of course. Great idea. Leave a comment down below as to why you're so Yu-Gi-Oh. Anybody have anything they want to say before we get out of here?
Go ahead, Cole.
One last thing. I remember loving Jinzo so much as a kid. I like couldn't go out and buy one, so I told my dad. I was like, "Can you give me like the Jinzo Yu-Gi-Oh card?" He's like, "Sure." And then he comes in the mail one day, and he's like, "I got you that card," and I look at it, and it says Jinzo number 7, like that guy who's got 700 attack.
I knew that's where that was going.
I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
I thought it was gonna be either that or one of those like fake, those really bad fake cards where it'd be like, it didn't say Jinzo, but it had the picture on it. It was like some ridiculous, like, obviously fake name. Yeah.
Shout out to my dad for that. He was trying at least.
Yeah, he was trying. That's a great way to end this. Okay, all right. Thank you guys for listening. This is Mike, Austin, Ty, and Cole from the Edison Club signing out until the next one.
Hamster Ryko Caius. I go check the pairings, I'm like, don't know who this guy is. Hamster Ryko Caius, Hamster Ryko Caius. 2-0 every round, man, and I ain't even trying. It's just Hamster Ryko Caius, Hamster Ryko Caius.